Welcome to That1 Podcast. If you're ready to break free from the ordinary, this is where real stories of real game changers come to life. Are you ready to be that one? Welcome back to That1 Podcast. It's your boy C-Roc here in That1 Studio. I'm at my home studio today. I think we're going to be getting back on the road in 2026. So be watching out for the cities that we'll be visiting. And this is a gentleman here, Dr. Sanjeev Goel, that I'm going to be bringing probably on the road with me somewhere and live in studio at some point. But we wanted to give you a taste of him and what he's doing before we did that. So Dr. Sanjeev, man, it's a pleasure to have you here. I'm so thankful for your trust in That1 agency. I'm so thankful in your trust in That1 Quantum Expansion, the friendship we've developed, the opportunity to get to hang out with you and really see what kind of person you are. And I really appreciate that. So thank you.
No, thank you so much for all that you've done for me. And this a short time we've kind of known each other relatively. It's made a transformation in my life as well. So I'm really excited to be on the podcast.
Well, thank you for saying that, because that is the most fulfilling thing for me in my life. I've made millions in my life in business, and I've come home empty. So when you say that, it means more to me than you know. So thank you. So let's get into it, man. This is That1 Podcast. We talk about what makes people that one. And that one is finding out who you are in your personal life, in your business, and leaning into it unapologetically to make people feel you, not just have a transaction with you, but to actually feel you, experience what you have to do and offer, and changing lives. And you're doing that. And I'll just tell a quick story here, because I got to preface this conversation with this. I met you through one of my famous 15 minis, and I reached out to you on Instagram. I also noticed as I was talking to you, I'm like, wait a minute, I think I use your product. And I if you remember, we were on the phone and on a Zoom call, and I went to my cabinet and pulled out your product, your BPC 157.
Too much of a coincidence, but go ahead.
I was like, is this your product? This is yours, right? Because I remember seeing your face on your website, which you've done a great job with branding yourself along with your company in the website. So whoever did that for you, if it was you that came up with that, whatever, kudos to them. And you, I don't know if you realize this, but you've established yourself as that one in your industry. So I want to get into this. And by the way, do you want to comment on any of that before I get into the origin?
No, I mean, sometimes these things are, we didn't look for that type of connection, and that just happened to be. That was very, that tells you how the universe works, right?
Yeah.
Right away, I'm like, oh yeah, that's really cool. You understand a little bit about me right away. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Well, everybody's got their origin story. Did you want to be in the medical field when you were a kid, or was it an expectation for your parents? Because they made my kids have to be doctors or lawyers,
exactly.
That kind of thing.
We only had three things you could be when you grew up: a doctor, engineer, or a lawyer. Everybody in my family is a physician. 10, 20 different physicians in our family. So it kind of was like that. I was, hard worker at school, and generally had pretty high marks. But I actually was drawn to becoming like Michael J. Fox in Family Ties. Like that was my kind of I want to become like, 24-hour stockbroker, go visit ancient cultures around the world, go meet people. Like that to me was very exciting, interesting, like, traveling around, meeting different cultures and people. But I remember, my uncle, who's a general surgeon, he said to me, you know what? He sat me down at the kitchen table. I was 17. He said, look, we don't come from a family of a lot of money. So, you just jumping in and becoming, stockbroker. I don't know how successful you're going to be, but you could just like become like a doctor or a pharmacist, because those are small businesses. If you like business, why don't you just do that? And then you can slowly grow and that kind of seems more sensible. I took that like a kind of like, oh, I don't know, like, but, I had it. And after that, a trip to India where I was, I really did get to see some of the, difference in living standard people have there, and people on the street begging. And, I worked at Mother Teresa's home for the poor and destitute. And it really did change my outlook about how I want to serve people. And that's how I became a physician. But I really didn't want to necessarily do that before. Like I said, Michael J. Fox, potentially even being an astronaut. Like these things were really interesting to me.
Yeah.
As a young kid. Yeah.
There's a thing where kids will take on what their parents want for them, and it's almost like a life continuum of the parents. And then the kids go in that direction because their parents want them to. and then they end up regretting it and have resentment, and then they don't really have fulfillment and appreciation for what they're doing because it's not what they wanted to do. So did you ever go through a little recalibration, like you got into the medical field and then eventually you were like, man, I got to figure out like how I can be fulfilled with this?
I was very lucky that when I became a physician, that my parents were, pretty happy about that. There was no real concern, and they really gave me a lot of latitude to go explore all the different types of healing and treatment and medicine, as long as I could make a living. That was by far the most important thing for them. And so I was very lucky in that way. Like, I became a family doctor because I could not find one thing specific about medicine that encompassed everything. And so, like they say, you're a jack of all trades but master of none in family medicine. I was always searching for a better answer about how to become a better doctor and serve more people.
And it started off more on the Western type of medicine, right?
Yeah, like I went through traditional Western medical school, but I even remember even in medical school I took like a special training in hypnosis, which is a part of medicine. It's a recognized field of medicine, and then I used to do mindfulness seminars at that time. So there are certain things that kind of cross over into Western medicine, and but I was always trying to explore what that edge was.
Yeah, yeah. And then how long did you practice family medicine, general practitioner, until you started to see that there's some, this big pharma press, this Western type of medicine, forever medicine, till you made a switch into more functional biohacking longevity? Like how long was it?
It's really a process. It's kind of hard to say there was one particular moment, because even as a few years out of practice, I was still looking for another answer. I did GP psychotherapy for 4 years, so learning, counseling people who have marital problems, anorexia, dissociative disorder. So I was very much interested in the mental aspect of medicine, and but it became a gradual thing. And I think what happened is that around 5 years ago with COVID, it really forced me to make a decision to just fully give 100% to my interest in looking for, alternative ways of healing outside Western medicine. I really moved into biohacking, and that was because of the, kind of letting go of what was comfortable. I always like to say that you have to kind of let go of what's comfortable to be able to get to the next stage. And so I kind of made that decision, and it's really like taken off since then. But I was flirting with the idea for 10, 15 years of like little bit taking, dipping a toe in and seeing, okay, can I just do a little bit? Can I do like part-time? Can I do this? But if I can give any type of, thing to people who are listening, is that you can't, if you don't go in wholehearted, you can't give 100%. I think you even mentioned that in our thread just the other day. You're just not going to get there. You don't put yourself 100% into something. It doesn't happen.
Oh yeah. I think any entrepreneur has experienced that, right? And they have the word side hustle and
Yeah.
these different things, but when your attention and focus gets dispersed, there's no way you can reach your potential, what you're capable of with it. But it's very scary.
It is
Like
scary.
when I was in the mortgage business and real estate, I wanted to do something else, but that money felt like it was a trap. And then I would dabble in other things, but then it was taken away from the main thing. But it was scary as I don't know what, because I'm like, will I make it? There's so much uncertainty. But what we forget though, is if you lean into something, you'll figure it out. And you got to make sacrifices at times, financially, time, attention with your family to really achieve something great. So what was that like for you, that transition? Like, did you eventually shut down the family operation, the family
Yeah,
practice?
I pretty much don't have that private practice. I mean, the family practice anymore. I let go of those patients, which was very difficult. Like imagine people who have been with you for 20 years, and they have taken you on like a big part of their life, and nobody else will take them on. Some of these people are really disadvantaged in society, so it was really hard. And I still try to, handful of people just make sure who can't get any care to try to make sure I take care of them. But definitely difficult to do, and I still see them around, and sometimes it's hard. I still feel pretty bad that I was unable to keep taking care of them.
Yeah, and then when you're doing the original operation, the most people in that field don't brand themselves. They don't build a brand. They don't build a nice website. They just use the people have needs, and then they're looking for family practitioners, and then they're just going to come, right? But when you made this shift, you obviously realized that, wait a minute, I got to build a brand here. I got to have a nice looking website that's functional, great interface. Like how did that come up? Like how did you figure that part out? Because you've done a great job with that.
First you have to like you realize that when you're in Canada we have a single payer system, which means that government pays for whenever you come in. So people come in, there's no shortage. You can always get patients because it's in effect free for patients to come in and see the doctor. And so that doesn't put any incentive to like live what you're actually what you're actually doing. And so, one of the things that's very important for me is that, I try to live whatever I'm saying. If that means, exercising, 5 times a week and eating a perfect diet and taking care of myself and having a low, managing my anxiety and all that. That's all part of the brand, which Doctor, which is Canada's Happiness and Longevity MD. That's so I have to live that, and that's really where it started. Like people, the biggest selling point for me is that when somebody comes in and says, hey, how old are you? You're 54 years old. How are you able to do that? Um, I don't need to do anything else. The other stuff comes later, the websites and all that. That's, for sure people come and help you to like present that. But if you don't live that, what you're selling, then forget it. And you need to do that.
Yeah, you've heard me say this before, right? Be a living demonstration.
Yeah, we have
Like
to.
you got to be a
Otherwise,
living demonstration. And when most people don't operate under that state of being a living demonstration, because they're scared to be held accountable to it. They don't want that pressure, because what happens, and you talked about anxiety. I have this sometimes where I put this image out there of who I am and created this identity. And then when I'm by myself, sometimes I'm like, can I really live up to this? I have these questions that go through my head, right? Like there's a lot of pressure when it comes to that. Like C-Roc is a certain image and identity, right? And then I'm like, man, I don't want to disappoint people. I don't want to let people down. There's a lot of weight that comes along with that. Do you feel that too since you've started this?
yeah, you don't even want to disappoint yourself. Like,
Right.
that's the thing. You gotta like, you have to live. If how can you tell somebody else to do something if you're not doing it yourself? It's very, very difficult, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what the live experience. You don't know what it feels like to be in someone's shoes if you haven't done it yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And who are you when no one's looking? One thing, I play a game all the time. Like people are always watching. If I'm sitting alone in my studio or my house or whatever,
Mhm.
I pretend there's somebody watching, and that's a higher power thing as well. But
That's really
like
good.
you can't have a misalignment with who you are private versus who you are in public, because
Yeah,
people will find
and
that
one
out.
of the tools I'm using, which I just like to throw it out there, is this. It's I'm using one of these like AI recording apps. I actually have it around my neck right now, but basically, it records everything. So I cannot be dishonest because this thing is on. Like it's recording everything. I got to be truthful because it's in effect your journal. Like you can't lie to it.
Yeah.
So
Well, well,
I
we
think
all
this,
have we all have this in our head going on, right? Without the AI thing that's
yeah,
recording,
we all
our
have it.
mind
But
is
sometimes,
recording everything all the time anyway, right?
yeah,
So
but
then it
sometimes we
creates,
lie to ourselves. Like a lot of people, it's very easy to lie to yourself and say, "Oh yeah, that didn't happen" or whatever.
yeah,
But
yeah,
when
this
it's
holds you
like
accountable.
it actually holds you accountable. It's like journaling. It's
Yeah,
very hard to write a lie down in a journal,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
And when you
once you
don't have
start,
that accountability, what happens is you build up this self-conscious clutter, right? Because
yeah,
it's misaligned. You're lying to yourself. You can't count on yourself. How can other people count on me when I can't count on myself? You
yeah,
say you're going to do something, you don't do it, and then it just builds up and builds up a bunch of plaque, so to speak, in your mind,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
And so, I'm conscious of this at all times. And we did an exercise when we were in Beverly Hills where we wrote down things that we feel like we did wrong that we may not have realized before, to get rid of it, to clear out that clutter,
yeah.
and but I love that you're doing that. I didn't know that you had that. You might have showed me that. I can't remember.
Yeah, and
Um,
you know what, I say my affirmations. It kind of, every day, like I kind of remind, I kind of keep track. Hey, I said it, and this thing recorded it, so like it, I can go and review it. do those things that I was supposed to do. So I think it's where the future is going. This is where we can use technology to help us rather than divert our attention. We can
Yeah.
help it to focus our attention to where we want it to be. That's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree. And the conversations I have with ChatGPT,
Uh-huh.
it saves everything as well, similarly. And I go back and review what the last week, the last month, the last year, how was I talking? Give me my blind spots. How can I optimize myself? And you really, it's not just gathering the data, it's what you do with the data, right?
Yeah.
So how do you take all that data and then act upon it?
Uh, right now, I create like checklists of things that I want to that are important for me to check off every single day. I work on that. Um, right, it's very much about awareness, just trying to be as aware of how I'm acting in the day-to-day moments. Like get up in the morning. What am I at? Where am I at right now with my sense of anxiety? And usually, that sense of anxiety is about if are you living as congruent to your life or not. If you're not suddenly out of sync, you feel a sense of anxiety because you know that that's something that's not correct. So I try to look at that now, trying to really focus in. Okay, try to clear up. You're saying all the clutter, all the little plaque that's unnecessary. Problem relationships or you know bad habits or things that are there. Just try to remove those things first. Like that's what I'm trying to get to right now these days.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. All right, and then you have a successful business, and then you have a family as well.
Hmm.
What are some things you focus on in order to not sacrifice your family? There's a lot of successful business people out there that have built great companies, great brands. On the outside, everything looks great, but then they haven't gotten the holistic 360-degree of optimization in all areas of their life. How do you focus on that and handle that?
My work is my life. Like and I'm very blessed that my wife is a physician as well. And we do have a lot of common interests. And my children who are a little bit older, in their 20s. I also try to incorporate them into what I'm doing. So we kind of working on things together. Um, I think that's how I do it. Again, like I said, for me, it is important to have. I need to be a living embodiment of wellness and happiness if I'm going to be a good doctor. So, taking care of my relationships with my children and my wife, it's very important. My friends, all of that's exceptionally important.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You place an importance on it, a level of importance on it, and then it gives you intentionality, right? So that you
yeah,
can
exactly.
keep it in line. Yeah, I love it. So how did you
Like I,
pick the beat?
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like we just met in at the anti-aging conference. I mean, I brought my two kids because hey, we want to hang out, and I want them to be uh, spend time with us. I mean, by far, that's the most important thing one can do is spend time together with the people you want to be with. Yeah.
Yeah, what's interesting is I used to drink, and when I go to events and stuff, we would end up out, networking somewhere, and it would be at a bar or something. And when I've shifted that focus to, hey, wait a minute, that's not being a living demonstration. I still can network without doing that, and now I can feel freedom to bring my kids with me, and I can take them everywhere. They don't have to sit in a room while I go to a networking event at a bar, for example. And then you get them around that. You brought your son to the quantum expansion event in Beverly Hills. We got to meet him. My daughter, I brought her with me as well, and they got to experience and what it's like and what we do. And then they were also engaging and participating in the conversation and communicating with others. And both of those kids are very mature for their age.
Yeah, I think it's gonna have massive impact. That type of exposure at that age will have huge impacts for them, positive impacts. And yeah, if I had that type of thing when I was younger, I'm sure it would have a huge impact as well.
Yeah, me too. I wish, I only wish. Yeah, when I was a kid, I was hanging out. I remember being in a bowling alley. I don't know if they have those in Canada as much, but back in the day when I was a kid and there was smoke and they had pictures of beer, and I'd go to beer league softball and different things and seeing people out just destroy themselves. And but what it did for me was it showed me what I didn't want in my life, but I didn't have this experience myself like our kids do, for sure. So how did you start with BPC 157 as your main product that you started with? Or what, how did you get into
Yeah,
that?
Yeah, we started about it's been about 3-4 years now, and the reason we started with BPC 157 is because it was the only oral peptide that was around. Like everything, all the other peptides are injectable, and that's really a barrier for most people, even including myself. I just hate doing these injections. So, um, BPC 157 is considered the Wolverine peptide. People are using it for gut health, injuries, musculoskeletal injuries, and tendonitis, and so on. So I started like that, and to be honest, it just so happened to be at the right time where it was gaining a lot of interest in the wider community on Joe Rogan, various places like that, and it just kind of took off in that way about BPC 157. But I've always been interested in other things as well. There's supplements that we also have one called Fasting Pro that just basically stimulates the fasting pathways of the body. So which is an essential part of longevity is we need to have a balance between growth and death, which is what happens during the fasting pathways. We need to encourage the removal of waste from our body.
Yeah, and especially mitochondria, because there's dead mitochondria or damaged or old mitochondria,
Yes.
and things like what's the one that I was just looking at the other day? Oh man, I forget the name of it, but it basically clears out the old mitochondria, not just tries to repair
Yeah, I
it.
think
What's that
it's
called?
at the aging conference. The company does that, Mito Pure, maybe. But
Yeah,
the
yeah,
term,
yeah. But what is
yeah,
that? What is that though? Mitopure. It's a hold on, I have it right here. I'll tell you what it is. It's a urolithin A,
urolithin
right?
A.
Urolithin
Yeah, it
A.
seems to have an
Yeah.
effect on making new mitochondria, getting rid of old mitochondria. Again, one of these molecules that's found in pomegranates, actually. But the amount of pomegranate you need to have would be huge, like to get this small amount of the urolithin A, which seems to have a lot of health benefits. So, yeah, I love that supplement. And yeah, just the idea that this mitophagy means getting rid of old mitochondria is a very important function. And
What does a 3 day fast do the same thing?
I think it definitely has some benefits. 3-day fast is when you begin to have rejuvenation, stem cell release, and again you have this removal of waste products and dead cells. So for sure, a very useful thing people should be doing is incorporate some amount of fasting. It doesn't have to even be 3 days. Obviously, more benefit when you start hitting that amount of hours, but even if you go, 12 hours, like go without eating anything, that's a very good thing for your body. Most people don't do that. Like they're eating
What what
late,
what
very late at night, and so on.
what's a good pacing for that? Once a week?
Oh, for 12 hours?
Yeah, 12 hour
Oh, I would suggest 12 hours if you could do that every single day. That
every
would be
single
ideal.
day.
Yeah, that'd be ideal. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
again, you're allowed to have a day off here and there
Oh,
and all that,
wait a
but
minute. Wait a minute. I'm not talking. I meant to say 24 hours.
24 hours.
24 hours. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
I would
12.
say
12's easy.
20.
12's
Yeah,
easy.
12 is easy. Yeah. 24 hours, I would say twice a week.
Twice a week.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
that'd
and you'll
probably
get
be good.
benefit from that. And
Yeah.
then if you decide to do 3 days, how often should you do 3 days to be most beneficial?
Oh, maybe 3 days, maybe only need to do it once a month.
Once a month.
Yeah.
That often though, still. Okay.
Yeah, once a month, the studies showed, yeah, you do
Oh,
fasting just 3 days once a month, you're going to change your metabolism, your cholesterol is going to drop, your blood pressure is going to drop. It's your sugar metabolism is going to improve.
yeah. So I did 2.5 days one time and then I broke. and actually I got sick after that. Like a really bad like chest cold, just, and I don't know if
Yeah,
there was any correlation
but you
possibly,
could have
but
had maybe your immune system was slightly weaker coming out of that. Because when you are fasting, you're potentially more susceptible to infections. So yeah, your body's under some stress, right? At
yeah.
that time.
Yeah. So if somebody decides to do this once a month, 3 day fast, how can they prepare themselves for a 3 day fast with that possibility of the immune system being compromised?
I think it's avoiding alcohol, avoiding extreme exercise, um, obviously avoiding being exposed to someone who's sick. But I think over time your body will start to get better at it. Like that was maybe been, I don't know if that was your first time, but
Yeah, it was.
I think your body will start to like know exactly how to switch. That's the whole thing, is right. We're not used to the fasting. which was probably a very standard part of like, our ancestors' lives. And their systems could just move really quickly between fasting and eating. What we call the metabolic switch was very efficient. But, nowadays it's so much stress on the body that, you can potentially open yourself up to an infection. But I think if you did a couple of times, you can be like, oh, this is so much easier.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get sick anymore. So,
Yeah. And during a 3-day fast, it's important to have plenty of electrolytes, plenty of hydration.
yeah, lots of water.
What else?
Yeah. At least a liter of water. Electrolytes is a good option. I don't know if you need very much more than that. You could potentially have a little bit of fat, because again, fat does not have any it doesn't raise your insulin levels, so it kind of keeps you kind of in the fast in some ways. Like you're still in ketosis, which still gives you a lot of health benefits. So if you wanted some potential
like
calories,
avocados,
you could do that, because there's just pretty much pure fat there.
Yeah. So if I ate an avocado a day during a 3-day fast, it's not going to break the fast.
I don't think it's gonna. I think you're totally fine.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then and bone broth, probably you could have
Bone broth is
warm bone
fine. I guess there may be a few like small calories of like some protein right there, but it's still so little that there's so many health benefits that I would not be worried about that.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. So I like to do things instead of like overhaul and added a whole bunch of things at once. I just stopped drinking, right? I don't drink right now. And I'm taking IFG something, IFG 17 something. I don't know.
Oh, IGF.
IGF. Yeah.
LR1.
This is not my expertise, brother.
Insulin growth factor.
Yes. This is why I hang out with people like you, so that you keep me straight. So IFG, and that you're not supposed to drink on. So it's helped me because I'm realizing like I don't want to mess that up. So I haven't drank any alcohol, and it's been almost 3 months now.
Oh,
and
wow.
so keeping that out of the loop, but then also keeping stress levels down, cortisol lower, and all that. But what I was saying is I don't like to overhaul a whole bunch of things at once. Like, okay, don't drink. Once I get that in check, okay, next thing, don't eat bread and French fries. And then just chip away at it, and then add these things so that eventually those things are easy now. And then I keep adding, and then before you know it, 3-6 months from now, a year from now, it's a total overhaul. So I think now I'm ready to start doing the fasting thing. Like, let me interject some 2 12-hour fasts or 24-hour fasts per week. Then I'll move on to maybe adding the 3 days once a month. Yeah. Chip away.
I think totally right. Otherwise, it's too much difficulty, and people don't sustain these great habits, right?
Yeah, I think as a physician, I think people should do more of that. I think they overload their patients a lot of times, and the patient gets overwhelmed. They're like, I got to do all this. Where am I going to start? I can't do all this. So like the chip away thing. Now, I'm a big fan, obviously, of quantum leaps. So you can have a quantum leap if you focus on chipping away, but being open to a quantum leap, then you can have those big giant jumps in different areas. But you got to chip away though. You definitely. And so I think more physicians, actually, anybody in even business strategy, anything, should be thinking about like, what are the steps that I can implement one at a time, ingrain those, and then add more.
Maybe the quantum leap is something you didn't even expect. It could be something totally different.
Yeah.
Like you need to do these little steps to have like a major other breakthrough in something else.
Yeah. Now the BPC 157, when you came up with this and you started pushing this out, how did you understand how to market, distribute, and scale it? Or was that a process that you had to go through to learn?
It was a little bit of learning experience. I mean, maybe looking back at it, I would have talked to more mentors and more people with experience. I didn't do that. I was, kind of, maybe there wasn't a lot of people in that space, but I didn't go and seek that, and I probably should have. So it's been a lot of trial and error of understanding how this thing works and what should be done.
And what did you do to really pop it, like to make it work and get more sales? Like, was there one thing or two things that you saw that like, wow, I should have did that earlier on?
It is, it's, how can I say, let's say, you start recommending to patients. Because I'm a physician, I can start recommending to patients, and they're seeing results. So, and if you take good care of the people who are your biggest fans, I think that's the best way to really move the business. So, making sure the people who are taking it, they're feeling that they're getting benefits and making sure they're feeling cared for and they're answering any questions. That's the first step, I think, rather than trying to say, oh, you're going to hit like, all these new people are going to come and it's going to be amazing. It's very hard to do that. I think you still got to start
Yeah, and
with the
have you
first.
have you have you ran ads yet for this?
Oh yeah, yeah. We ran a lot of Google ads. Google ads was doing really well, and you have to have a good marketing company that knows how to run those ads.
Did you go through
Especially
several companies, or did you find one right away?
I did go through and have gone through a few companies, and luckily the people we use now are the people who have already worked in the space. So they need to become somewhat of have some experience on how to handle these type of supplements because they do sit in a bit of a gray zone. You need to be careful of what type of health claims you make on the website and in the ads. Those things are important.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. And once you find somebody, you take care of them because that's the home run right there. You want to make sure they become part of your family in a way. you know. Um,
Definitely.
Now, there's something going on with compound pharmacies, or I should say research labs. I know the US is getting ready to crack down on those. So there's a lot of people out there that are great marketers that have created great brands. They're influencers in the space. They don't have a medical degree or a doctorate in that. And now they are going to be losing a lot of income. I don't know how it is in Canada. Do they allow research peptides, research
Uh,
things, or?
it's not theoretically allowed. These all sit in a kind of a gray zone where no one's really enforcing it. And but I think a lot of this concern about what's happening in the U.S. has come out of the GLPs because these compounding pharmacies and some of these online sites are selling retatrutide, which is the latest GLP supplement. I mean, injection medication, and that already is in medication in the U.S., which I think is Eli Lilly or something.
Yep.
So, obviously the pharmaceutical companies don't want to have this happen, and so they have asked the Trump administration to go crack down on these compounding pharmacies and online websites that are selling medications directly in competition with what they already have patent on. So I
So
think
do you?
that's why these whole things have come up. Like it's because, I mean, if you're selling BPC 157, there's no real pharmaceutical company that has making something like that. So there was never really an issue. But the GLPs have totally changed everything
Do you think
because,
it's all about money, or do you think there is some safety concern there and the quality of the product that they're concerned with as well?
well, of course, like you could, it's the Wild West out there. You could buy anything out there. You have no idea where it really comes from, what the purity is, and theoretically could be laced with some heavy metals or contaminants. So of course that's a possibility. Though I think, why now? Why they care so much about? Obviously, it's concern about money, and it's a massive. It's $1 billion, more billions of dollars market. Probably going to transform the whole healthcare system. These GLPs. So I can see why they're wanting to crack down on it.
Yeah, and then this leads me into my next topic here of people being really good at marketing, right? But they don't have a medical degree. They don't have the backing and the expertise. Maybe they've done their own studies and they are well versed in it, but maybe not. But they're really good marketers. Do you watch this and see these people that really don't know what they're talking about, but they happen to be good marketers, and then take it as an obligation of pushing yourself further because you got to overcome this because this is not. It could be dangerous, right?
Uh, you have like lots of like a lot of not necessarily conspiracy, but you have stories that come out there about, let's say, where people who are just very good on social media can like present a story, let's say a concern. Like you had recently about Ozempic causing blindness, for example, which was a big thing. Went out there and people are scared. Oh my God, Ozempic's going to cause blindness. And I had this friend I mean, I looked at studies really, there's no justification for that concern. So I think it's that type of stuff where it's because there's so many people providing content and information and from various different backgrounds, not necessarily medical backgrounds, that you can have a muddying of the water of what is accurate and what's not accurate. And that's a very hard thing to fix. Like, to be honest, the medical field hasn't been very good at being on top of that. Like, because
Yeah.
they've taken a back seat, they've allowed all these people to come in who in some ways are even better than doctors. Like, I have to give credit. Like, there's lots of very good people out there too. So who have spent a lot of time and effort. So it's kind of a mixed bag. I can't exactly say what's the right thing to do, because you can't really
Well,
police that.
no, you can't. But do you take this on as an obligation, like, and help yourself for even more push? Because you're like, there's an obligation here from my background and what I want to do, my mission, my purpose, but
Yep.
also my expertise. And I owe it to the world to make sure that I go full force, because I cannot let these people win that are dangerous. Do you ever like think that way?
I haven't seen anything like that in the peptide space per se, but things like, for example, I mean, I don't know if you chat about it here, but like, for example, the vaccine against cervical cancer,
Yeah.
the Gardasil vaccine, which,
Yeah.
had a really bad name. People are, oh my God, concerned, but it's clearly preventing cervical cancer. There's really no reason why we should not be giving everyone this vaccine. So that's the type of stuff that, hey, I'm pointing out there. I think that's a very important thing. That's where misinformation can cause actual harm to people.
But is that one of the ones RFK Jr. is talking about, and the bringing up
Yeah,
concern with that
so. I think
particular vaccine?
hepatitis B, he's removing hepatitis B as well, which I think is a big problem. I mean, of course, if we start getting measles outbreaks again, that's crazy. Like, that we're going to get measles outbreaks again, and kids are going to die because we're not vaccinating kids with measles. Like, I mean,
What about
diseases.
HPV? Is that one of them too?
HPV
one of them.
is the one I was talking about, the cervical cancer one. That's
Oh, that's the
exactly,
cervical cancer one.
yeah, that is so safe. It's been around for 25 years, and we don't have an answer why there's concern about it now. But if anybody dies from cervical cancer, that's really sad. That's very difficult. These are the younger women who die from cervical cancer. Yeah, it's also causing genital warts and all this stuff too.
Yeah, so let me just clarify something. You're not being paid to say that and go that direction, right?
No, that's right. I have no interest. It's just that I just think, wow, how could we do that? How could we allow this type of misinformation to happen? Because people are going to suffer, right?
Yeah, even with the risk that there is possibly some side effects of that vaccine, or none that you've seen in research.
Every vaccine can have a very low chance of some side effect. I think the autism piece for MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, has been debunked. But we have it's very difficult to sort that exact piece out. But whatever the initial concern was, I don't see if there's, all across scientific community, all the doctors don't believe there's anything there. So unless you're saying all these doctors are being paid off by pharma, I don't believe that's the case. They just go to school, follow the science, want to do what's best for their patients, and that's what, there's no financial incentive for them to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, I think that COVID vaccine might be different. Like, I'll put a caveat there. Hey, you know what? Like, maybe we don't need more vaccines of COVID. Whatever happened saved some lives and it's great, but maybe you don't need to keep getting boosters. I'm not a proponent of saying, hey, we need to go constantly get COVID vaccine boosters, because we don't know the long-term impacts of whether it causes what the reaction rate is, and maybe you're going to have some people who have increased inflammation, all that. We don't know,
because we haven't had a length of studies.
A long time.
We haven't had enough time for the COVID vaccine, a length of studies and research on it. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you're 85 and you're at risk for dying from COVID, that's a very different thing than a 20-year-old who can handle getting the COVID infection. They'd be totally fine.
Right.
So we need to kind of like think about who are the people we need to give the vaccine to, and that's a very new vaccine. And so yeah, I can understand why people have concerns about that. And even me, I've only taken 2, and I said I'm not going to take any more because I don't need it.
Right.
The benefits don't outweigh the risks. So for me. Yeah.
Yeah. We had a friend that had the HPV. His daughter did, and she had problems, like major problems right afterwards. And it scares the crap out of you as a parent, right? And even though it may be the 1 in 100,000,
yeah,
you still have that concern. So we've had that thought and conversation, my wife and I, regarding our kids. And based on what you're telling me here, is like the research is there. I gotta do my own research and make sure that I'm clear on that. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
And it's no rush. You have time. I mean, it's not you have to make the decision right today, because this concern happens later anyways in life. So it's not like, you have to worry about having it done right this moment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have some time to think about it.
Okay. So we're up against the clock here. I just want to hear now, what's the vision from here? Like if you could have it your way and everything worked out perfectly, what are you going towards right now with your companies and your mission?
What I'm working on basically building a community of people where I can, I can share my love of longevity science and happiness science, so we can help people just live a life of more happiness, better health, and getting up in the day and enjoying your day. That's how I'm serving the world.
Yeah.
That's my talent, is being able to communicate out what's happening in the world and getting in front of people's eyes. So that's what I want to do. As many
Yeah.
people as possible. I want to
Yeah.
touch as many people as possible.
Love it. Well, you
Yeah.
mentioned something in the beginning of the show, how quantum expansion has impacted you. Can you elaborate on that for the audience just so they understand what we're doing there and how it has affected you?
Yeah, I think what it did first of all is that it you have to be put a little bit into slight new uncomfortable situations. So that's realizing, seeing your reaction to how I feel when I'm put in these situations, and challenging myself a little bit. I started doing the 15-minute minis, meeting a lot of new people. What you realize that, hey, first of all, it's great practice just meeting new people and trying to see how can you serve them. You're not really looking for anything particular, just trying to meet new people. And nothing may come out of it right there, but it kind of, like you're saying, it's a quantum thing where, like, somebody else may uh, bring up something, and then maybe you'll be introduced to something else, and something you can't predict where that's going to go. But if you're right in the right intention of opening yourself up and um, putting the energy out there of what you want to manifest, I think you're just more likely to achieve it, because I think that's you're meeting other like-minded people in the expansion group as well.
Yeah.
So that's it's kind of hard for me to tell you, hey, this concrete thing has happened, but I can just say, hey, look at my look at my life. Maybe, how are things been in the last 6 months? Yeah, it's been very good. Now I think I've maybe take a longer experiment, maybe a year or two, but I'm pretty confident that, yes, it's gonna pay off.
Yeah, and the thing is that you're around people that are continuously evolving and implementing new things and using human ingenuity to expand even further. So you're not just on your own in your own business. It can be lonely sometimes running a business, right?
Yeah.
But when you're around people that are always trying to up level and go to the next thing and really expand, you can't help but expand and go further faster, And so that's what I'm getting a lot out of it too, obviously. Like I'm around people like yourself and others, and I learn so much, and I'm open to learning and expanding. So that's what we're doing, man. And I appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for everything that you've done. And I look forward to continuing to build on our relationship as well as we go forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much, C-Roc. Really enjoyed today.
All right. Hang tight while I wrap this up. Folks, by the way, if you're interested in going deeper with Dr. Sanjeev Goel, you can go to, where can they go?
They can go to sanjeevgoel.com, or they can find me on Instagram. It is Dr. Sanjeev Goel, Dr. Sanjeev Goel.
And how about the products?
Yeah, they can go to peakhumanstore.com, where I have all our various peptides and BPC. Otherwise, they can go to shoppeakhuman.com, which is just for BPC alone.
By the way, I had subscription to it, folks. And I take it every day. My whole family takes it every day. So I vouch for it. Okay. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. Not everybody that I have on the show, I vouch for, but we use it and we're subscribed and we get it, shipped to us every single month. And so I advise everybody to check it out. And one thing I tell you, I did notice too, is like, I don't have any gut issues. Like now it's like everything's smooth. I'm regular, like everything's good, man. And I also noticed something else is that I used to, as I'm 48 years old now, when I'd get out of bed in the morning, sometimes, man, it was tough and everything was stiff and I felt pain and aches. And I get out of bed now, hop out of bed, my feet feel good. Like a lot of times feet are the things that are like really sore when you get out from the walking or running that you do or working out. And I don't have any of it. And I feel great. So go check that out. Dr. Sanjeev, hang tight while I wrap this up, folks. That's this episode of That1 Podcast with your boy C-Roc, Dr. Sanjeev Goel, sharing with you why he's that one. Until next time,
Oh.
make sure you subscribe. Hit the
I was gonna say
follow button.
something.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say that we can give a code out to all your listeners. C-Roc 10.
CROC 10.
Yeah. Yeah. At peakhumanstore.com.
All right, guys, go check it out. Until next time, be that one.